Yesterday, the president asserted that India had agreed to stop buying Russian oil. As far as I know, when I last checked, the Indians had not confirmed that.
Correct.
Sean, do you think this is happening, or this is a Trump Trump thing?
I was a little shocked when he made that comment about Modi.
Yeah.
Um, but it was also done in a very glowing way. Like he's my friend and he wants to do this and he
Yeah,
said he's doing it.
but do you
And
think it's happening or not?
I don't.
Don't.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't either. Dan.
Same. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Wall Street Journal has a story today that says Scott Bessent and others at the IRS, Scott Bessent is acting IRS commissioner, are rejiggering the way the investigative unit there works with the expressed intent to go after some of these liberal groups, Soros, etc., by using the powers of the IRS to target the president's political enemies. The IRS, of course, has long been considered, back to the Nixon years, a very hot tripwire, hot button, whatever you want to call it, that involving the IRS in political activity is long been, there's been a bipartisan consensus that that's particularly dangerous. Now, do I need to say the words Lerner and Lois? I do
right.
not, because you're all familiar with the fact that it appears that this was done by a Democratic administration previously. One of many areas where, as with the prosecutions of the president's political enemies, where people on the right say, guys, you did this already. Your rhetoric about how outrageous this is applies to your very own activities. So, in this story in the journal, there's no explanation, on point explanation from the people at the IRS or the White House about is their reporting correct. And the sourcing in the story is very oblique. Some of it could be liberal career officials. Some of it could be, people who are unhappy with whatever. Like there's not a lot of clarity about where this is coming from. And I suspect, just based on how the world works, that the story's overwritten. Nonetheless, we should all be very on guard for any administration to use the IRS for political purposes. Dan, is this something uh, going to disappear and never come up again, or is this a serious issue because they're really going to do it and everybody needs to understand how they're using the IRS?
I think it's a serious issue. I think they will do it. I think when the what Lerner came out, Congress jumped on it like white on rice, held hearings, demanded more information, sent out subpoenas. This Congress will salute. They will simply
Yeah,
be mute.
and
And
there'll be
I
no
mean,
there'll
we
be no
haven't
check on it
talked
except
about it.
maybe the courts.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about it, but there was a quote, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal this weekend, in which the White House laughed that the Congress is the Duma, the Russian parliament that just does whatever the heck Putin wants. That is, I've never heard somebody talk about their own party as a subservient lapdog like that. Again, I think one of the best messages Democrats have is check and balance. I,
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy how blatant Trump is getting of like, yeah, we're doing this.
yeah. Sean,
You and you and you.
yeah, Sean, the Gail Sayers book, I Am Third. You know that
I
book.
do not.
Okay. Well, in your life, I know it's a faith, family, and then freedom. I know you love freedom, maybe third, but I know you love freedom. How alarmed are you by the prospect that a government would use the powers of the IRS to punish political enemies?
I mean, like going after pro-life groups and Second Amendment groups. I mean,
You're
companies that
bothered by that, but you could
no,
also
no,
be
no.
bothered
So,
by
so
this.
look, right. So here's what I would say. I know, just as a side note, and there was some issues. Trump appointed Billy Long, a former congressman from Missouri, and there was some issue with whether or not Billy Long, who has now been appointed some ambassadorship
He
somewhere,
he wasn't long for the job. But boom.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Yeah, go
um,
ahead.
so I do know that there was a bit of discussion about whether he was willing to do the task at hand. Yes, I am concerned. I do believe because I don't like again I feel like the eighth grader inside of me that says, "Well, you started it," but I don't like the IRS being weaponized for a million reasons because I know what the left will do. That being said, I mean, look, if groups like George Soros and a bunch of these guys have done stuff inappropriate, obviously it's appropriate to look at them. And if there's a reason that they haven't been looked at, but I think weaponizing them, weaponizing these tools is something that I always worry about because I sort of have the long-term view of like, okay, what
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah.
Again, the one thing I would say is this goes back to like everything that we talk about though, which is we as Republicans constantly have sat back and said, well, okay, it wasn't right when they did it. We should be the better ones. And I mean, the problem is that we do it on issue after issue. And I think that there's a frustration, rightly so, on the right, which is why are we the ones that always have to be the better angels and say, okay, we'll stop it here. You guys look into pro-life groups, you go after Second Amendment groups and companies, but we should be the ones that say enough's enough, right? We should be the ones that say, okay, gosh, it's wrong to weaponize the judicial system. It's wrong to break the filibuster to do certain, just to advance an agenda. I get it. I'm so, I there's too many times when you feel like you're the only you're defending being the better person every time.
I think the one
Dan,
thing that is
Dan,
new,
don't you feel so horrible for the Republicans that they're constantly having to just do tit for
yeah,
tat?
there's
They never
there's a
do
lot I
anything.
disagree with, but
They
the
never
one
do
thing,
anything wrong first.
right? The
Nope.
one thing that does appear to be new is we've never had a president overtly sit there with people in the room and instruct them in public to go get somebody and go do this.
It might be
And
nice that at least it's in public. At least
there
we know
you
it's
go.
happening.
I mean, that's like the whole thing about Trump's corruption. That one of their GOP talking points is, well, he's out in the open about it. I think it was Mike Johnson. And it was like, okay. Again, just when Democrats are in office, if Kamala Harris had sat there at a press conference with her AG and FBI director and said, boy, they better go get this person and that person. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.